So after many years of wanting to do this, I have finished my fourth sketchbook, if I'm not mistaken. I wanted to post a sketchbook tour onto YouTube, and I finally started my YouTube channel, so I was like, what perfect timing for me to complete it. I started on the 21st of December 2020, and I finished it almost exactly 2 years later on the 23rd of December 2022. And so I have these gorgeous little fantasy kind of stickers that I put in, and we have here the cover page. This is a recent sticker that I put in to match the stickers that I just put on these two here that I put on the front page. This is a symbol from the story that I'm writing, and it's a quote from one of the characters. And then here is the intro page ideas. I have my thumbnails, which I was supposed to paint something here, but I didn't end up doing. And with all of my sketchbooks, I always start off the theme, and I try to keep to that theme and just draw things that are kind of similar to that to keep the cohesiveness throughout the pages. This sketchbook has 4 themes: power, love, happiness, and knowledge. I did not stick to any of those. And then this is an Among Us sticker. And we have some sketches. And this was, I think, on my way back home. And I drew the seats on the airplane. And then I have Rey from Star Wars and a random nose and lips. And then I have, I don't know what this was. I think this was like my Wattpad era, where I was writing some stories on Wattpad before I realized that it's on the wrong platform, and I had no idea about Wattpad's reputation. And so I was, just going with my innocent stories onto a platform that is really not. This was the main character's room. I think I was trying to figure out how to describe it, and yeah, this kind of helped me. And we have more Star Wars. Then from the same Wattpad story, this is Viper, and then the main character. Oh, this might be Ivera, the main character from the story that I'm writing now, actually. So yeah. And then here we have Vanya, which is from the same story as this Wattpad story. And then we have Kylo Ren and Luke. I think that Luke's Skywalker's lightsaber, I'm not sure. Then we have a random dragon and Vanya from the Wattpad story. Ooh, I really love how the bleed of the watercolors came out here. And this is probably one of my favorite creatures that I created. So the idea behind this was we have, just a random creature that kind of absorbs all of the light from everything, and he absorbs it and emits it at the same time. And so everything is dark around him, but he's really bright. And I still like the idea, even though it's a bit confusing. This, I'm not sure if it was me, because I had really long hair when in 2020, so I don't know if that's me or not. And then this was me swatching, trying to find the right colors for the character that I made here. This is a quote from Rick and Morty from one of the after credits. I will mess with time. It was Einstein who had said it, I think. And we have a fun watercolor page, and I drew it. But the skin tone it's really desaturated here. Then we have Viper and his gun. You can see a little bit of his tattoo. I really like it. I used to draw so differently back then. The way I draw faces is so different now. More Viper and Vanya, and then this is also Viper with his actual identity Adam Winfield. And then here I wrote Rivera because I liked the surname Rivera, but I thought Winfield really suited him. So I kept the surname Rivera, and I actually use it for one of the characters that I'm writing in my full-length novel that I'm writing now. Here we have some Vanya and Viper, Viper and his tattoo, Viper as a baby, and more of these two. I really loved African bush vipers, even though I'm like petrified, absolutely petrified of snakes and reptiles. But I was really fascinated by them and, you know, the biology aspects of it. And then we have Vanya, and then we have a little comic of them inspired by the elevator scene in Star Wars. And here we have Viper getting arrested. And these two are referenced from artists that I found somewhere on the internet that I don't know where. I was like blown away by the creativity of it. I just loved it. And I've never really tried simplifying my faces to that level, so I tried it there. That's, I think, referenced from a YouTuber, but I don't know who. And then we have Viper again, and I was watching Coco, I think, and I wanted to draw a skull. And this is a song that I still like that song up until now. And this side profile, oh goodness. Thank God I improved on my side profiles. But whenever I see ugly drawings or drawings that I find ugly, I really like looking at them. It gives me so much more motivation to keep drawing and keep improving and keep doing better. And I really like that hairstyle, so I inked it. And then we have Vanya, very elegant. I really liked her shoes here, and the entire pose is just, it's a bit wonky, but you know, it's an old drawing. And then we have Wonder Woman, and this is just a random girl that I drew, but it looks exactly like one of my friends. And then this is a little comic. I was still in my Wattpad phase. I was reading a lot of episode, and on the episode interactive app, there's always this one, like a club scene of where the main character is kind of drunk, and then the love interest comes in and swoops in and like saves her, gets her home all safe. and I quite like that trope, but you know, I'm over it now. And so I kind of drew something similar. And this is me showing my brother how different my drawing is when I don't reference versus when I actually look at a picture and then draw it in, of Joker. And then this is another mini comic of Anya and Viper, and then some pen sketches. I think I did that in the plane or the train or somewhere I was traveling. I really like this. Wow, her figure is really good. And then we have Joker in watercolor, and this is a thumbnail for this, and I don't know what that is. That one there is a really, I think what was happening here is I had rewatched a horror that I watched when I was like 12, and rewatching it made me so scared that I just kind of vented the fear that I had, because I really don't ever watch horrors. So this might have happened because I was watching a lot of horror and I was a bit scared. You know, I was listening to the lyrics of one of Camila Cabello's songs. It's a really popular song, you probably know it. And it's a really provocative song as well, and I didn't realize it was so provocative until I actually you know, read the lyrics, and I was like, oh wow. I was looking at it from a different light, and I was like, you know, reading these lyrics actually makes it seem like a horror instead of a song about a bad boy. And so I just drew it. The hair and the striped t-shirt, it's just so iconic. I love it. And then this is Vanya in a very lovely outfit, and Viper cocking a gun. And then this is a note to myself, telling myself to use line of action, which I didn't listen to. This line of action, I'm trying to get the likeness of a face. More line of action, more line of action, and then I never used it again. This is my cat and my sister's puppy. And then this was when I got really interested in genetics and CRISPR. And then I did some swatches. And then this was me explaining maths to one of my friends. But yeah, he asked me for help and I was like, sure. This is a little eye. This comic, oh my gosh, this comic, one of my favorites, even up until now, like 2 years later, with all of the improvement in between, still one of my favorites. I actually wrote a short story and it won some competition. I made it into a little mini comic, like just a short part of the story. It's called Heaven Fell, and it's about Heaven, who is blessed with the affinity of time, and he's immortal, he can't die, and he can stop time whenever he wants, which makes him a very, very good warrior. This is his backstory, which I didn't write in the short story, which was only like 700 words, and I'm actually rewriting it now with a lot more illustrations and stuff, you know, in my free time. And this is him bringing a bird back to life. You see he's crying there, and then he waves it off in the sunset. And then this is him when he's older, and it shows how much he changes. And he's got this was a design for the demons of the world, but I changed it a whole lot now that I'm rewriting the story. After years of leaving it on the shelf, I think 2 years later, I decided to come back to it. And so I redesigned everything and changed the story, and yeah, it's pretty fun to work on. And that was like the last thing that I worked on in 2020 in this sketchbook. And then I went completely digital thanks to COVID. And yeah, this is some warm-up sketches, and then I posted a little poll on my story asking people to give me doodle suggestions, and my friend Aina asked me to draw a mushroom or a fairy, and I did a mushroom fairy. And then someone asked me to draw a butterfly, so I did a pretty little monarch on a flower. And I don't know if you can see the little butterfly there, but Zara and her blue butterflies that always follow her around, and she's a bit sad there. And I decided to draw her in a bit more modern clothes. So this story that she's from is a high fantasy story called Revna. I just thought it was fun to draw her in an outfit that I thought was cute for a child. And then there's Cassandra, all grown up and reading in her own way. Someone asked me to draw her doing a hobby that she really likes. And then someone wanted to see Cade blushing, and so I got him, you know, giving Ivera some flowers and blushing. So Cade is actually Zara's older brother. This is Zara as a child. She's all grown up now. And then we have a little comic about Ivera and her general. It was inspired by a panel in Attack on Titan, and I tried to like imitate his style kind of, you know, with the big eyes, but it was a huge leap from what I'm used to what he draws, and so it didn't really come off in the right way, but it was a good attempt. It was a failed attempt, but a good one. And then someone wanted to see Adrian, who is Cade's youngest brother, on a dragon as an adult, and it was fun to draw that age leap because he's actually 12, 13, and so to draw him as an 18, 19-year-old was quite fun. And then I drew Ivera in lingerie here, and then I got shy, and so I covered it up. And this is another tell me what to doodle session. So it's someone wanted to see Ivera blushing, Ivera angry. This is a young Ivera, as you can see. And then Ivera kind of sad, looking out the window, and her happy. And then Cade doing her hair, so cute. I love that. And someone else wanted to see her taking a selfie, even though there's no phones in Revna. And then there's her in modern clothes, and then her in a beautiful ball gown. This is probably one of my favorite sketches, even the earrings. Oh, I just love it. And the blush, it's so cute. I love it. I love how that came out. And then this was another session on another day, another tell me what to doodle session. Someone wanted to see him crying, blushing or happy or whatever, in a corset, buying flowers for Ivera, his hands. I think Aina wanted to see his hands, and so I just drew him blushing, covering his face. And then someone else wanted to see him holding some kittens. So there's actually 3 kittens here. I don't know if you can see. And this is another tell me what to doodle session. Morning cuddles between Ivera and Cade. Cade, you know, teasing Ivera. She's like, stop, and she's blushing. And then Cade picking out something for her to wear. I think this was done quite a while ago, so I don't really remember, but I think there was like an inside joke that Cade has no idea how to dress a woman, and so this was like a little joke. Someone wanted to see his morning routine, and so I did him making his hair a little bit more straight than it naturally is. And then someone wanted to see him with a tongue piercing, and I drew him. He's shy, so this was a really out of character sketch, but I quite like this. And then he's looking at Ivera while she ruffles his hair. It's cute. And then this is Cassandra, Ivera and Cade's friend, and someone wanted to see her with a septum piercing, sleeping, and in casual clothes. And then this is storyboarding. As you can see, this is a little thumbnail. Not storyboarding, sorry. This is a thumbnail for an idea of a book cover for Revna. And then this is me explaining the things that happen in Revna. So one of the country's king, Rylan, has a wife and a son, and they get killed in a fire, and then a new king and queen comes, and then their children are one of the main characters. So I was explaining it to someone, I don't know who. And then we have Chibi, Cade, and Ivera. Cade taking care of Ivera when she's sick. It's so cute, and he's like sleeping and drooling there. And that's the names of all of the books that I'm writing of Revna. And then these are pen sketches of me distorting my eye and then drawing it. My cat who looked really funny, and my niece. I think I was on a video call with my sister, and she came up and she was just looking somewhere else, and I just sketched her. And then this is more stuff for the books that I'm writing. And this is a little, it's like a comic panel of Cade and someone telling him to shift. And then we have a Raven from Teen Titans. I was gonna say Attack on Titan. Yeah, Raven from Teen Titans. I drew her at the back, and it was unfinished and it didn't make the sketchbook look nice. So I covered it up, and then I painted these purple strips. I was supposed to repaint her, but I got lazy. And then I got new markers. Really fun sketches. And this is another story in the Revna universe. which their story happened, I think, 1,000 years before Ivera's story. And so we have the three main characters of that book, Sansa, Leorian, and Guts. And Sansa is Ivera's like great grandmother. A lot of people on Instagram who follow me and are friends with me know who they are, even though I've never posted any writing of them before. This is me trying to figure out how many panels I need to tell like certain parts of the story, and then how many hours it's gonna take. And this was the script. And then here we have more stuff for the books. I actually drew this map digitally and it came out so gorgeous. Oh my god, I can't wait to share it. I wish I could share it now. This was inspired by a really awesome artist that I found on Instagram. Oh gosh, her work is just absolutely stunning. She does like medieval inspired watercolor art, and I was gonna write a short story about in the Revna universe here, but I didn't come around to doing it. This I did in the car while we were taking a long drive somewhere, and it was shaking, so I didn't get to finish, so I just left it like that. And then I really love this. I think I referenced myself, but I just added a septum piercing because. And then this was me drawing Cassandra in an anime style, and I was really intent on drawing in a manga kind of anime style. Even that one comic that I did inspired by Attack on Titan. And this was when I started a course on how to make comics, and one of the steps was to do character sheets before you start drawing the actual comic. Very like an anime kind of style. And then we have her General Aaron, and then we have Nojin, her first love. And here's the actual comic, which was only 4 pages, but I am blown away by the fact that I could have done this. It's like one of the best comics that I've made, even though it's just sketching. So it's actually the start of the actual comic. And we start here in Leorian. This is the map. There's 6 countries. Leorian is Ivera's country. So it says, an old Leorianese tradition when being crowned is to send a fleet of ships to the sea, not only to find land, but to show the depth of our wealth, because Leorian is an extremely rich country, for no ships return after being sent into the vast oceans. What was once a celebration to bring in a new monarch is now an execution. And then this is her in her gorgeous gown, looking at the ships. This is a landscape, set the scene, and then that's me trying to replicate the ships. And then her eyes, and she's inhaling, cutting the ribbon, which sends them off into the sea. I was told hesitation was normal, but I really like this panel. A cold feeling washed over me as an invisible hand begged me to grant the sailors freedom. But even being crown princess had limits. And then there's a guard in the background there, and then General Aaron is kind of asking her if she's okay. She says, Levorsi, are you okay? Levorsi is kind of like saying, Your Majesty in Revanian. And then she goes, huh? And then he tells her, cut the ribbon like we practiced. And she starts crying even more. And she says, what a brilliant start to my reign. And she's crying, looking at the ships while the family members of the sailors are in the background. And one of the sailors looks at her and just starts crying. And I didn't get to finish it. But yeah, awesome start to the story. Very not depressing. I did the map with the 6 countries, Reisrumar, Dugo, Krejal, Leorian, and Voss, and then the Zidarian Isle. And here we have more Heaven Fell, you know, the comic that I did a few pages back. I was just trying to do a landscape of his house and how, like, you know, fancy it is. There's a big fireplace with a huge statue of an angel shooting a bow and arrow, and then there's the balcony, tons of books, and then another room leading into another room, and a huge little a huge little painting. And I was supposed to draw him sitting here by the fireplace, but I didn't get to finish. And this I did a few days back. I was drawing with my nieces, and my niece was looking really cute, and so I drew her as a mushroom fairy, and then I drew, you know, elf ears, and then me distorting my eye again. I love distorting my eye and then drawing it, like, you know, pulling it down, stretching it, doing all funny things, and then more my eye and a random fairy. And I don't usually stick things into my sketchbook, but I really love this page, and it was just fun and free and, you know, in pen, and so I just stuck it in. And then this is from another story that I wrote in my Wattpad era, when I thought Wattpad was, you know, for all kinds of stories and not just the spicy ones. This was a dark fantasy story that I had finished about Talia, who is a fairy, and she lives in the Dome Society, and then she accidentally exits the dome, where she meets Castiel, her love interest. And it's a really sad story, kind of. I might revisit it and rewrite it. And then here we have a little portal. I drew this while I was listening to an audiobook, and I just wanted to do something with my hands, and so I drew a portal in pen. And then this is one line art, which I failed, as you can see. There's more than one line. This is a Leorian folklore. It's kind of going into depth of the world building. You know, I create stories within stories to expand the world. And this story is about a young saint called Siola. And that's her wearing a hood and getting a magic crystal. So in Revna, crystals are power. And so, yeah. That's why there's a little crystal there at the top of the portal. And then this is Siola again. Siola was a young queen who was really powerful, but she really held no say in anything. I really love her story. It's sad. It's bittersweet, I guess, but I love it. This was Through My Window. Just a few days, I think 2 days ago, or maybe even yesterday, I looked out my window and I was like, wow, the sky looks so gorgeous, and, you know, the trees looked very beautiful, and so I just I was like coming to a close on the sketchbook, but I had no idea what to fill the last few pages with, and so I asked on my story, you know, do you guys have any doodle suggestions? And then people gave me suggestions, and I drew it. So the first one was me, you know, draw me. And so it was funnier in my head, but I just wrote the word me instead of drawing the person. And then someone wanted a self-portrait of me, and so I drew me. I looked really good that day as well. I had my turtleneck and all of my hoop earrings, and I had a hairband in. And then someone wanted to see a soft kiss, and it's not really a kiss really, but there was an attempt. Cassandra and Yoshaya. And then someone gave a really heartfelt story in the question sticker, and I drew this inspired by that. we're not gonna talk about that. This is Kate and Ivera being cute. This is the final sketch of the sketchbook, inspired by one of the artists that I'm following, and she had done a Merry Christmas kind of thing, and I, you know, did my own thing inspired by the pose and the flow and the perspective. So yeah, Kate and Ivera kissing after like years of not even drawing them hold hands because to keep the slow burn alive. And then I don't really draw anything for these pages, but I did draw some stuff at the back. So here we have Revna's crowns. So there are 6 countries in Revna, but only 3 of them have like rulers. Only Rais Ramah, Krejal, and Leorian have kings and queens. And so the crown for Leorian, which I designed and drew digitally, this is it. And then we have the crown for Krejal, which is Cade's country. And then we have the crown for Rais Ramah, which is where Cassandra was born before she moved to Leorian. And I tried to incorporate their culture and how, you know, they would make their crowns, their designs. But I think that one there's canon, but these ones need some work. And then this is another thing I drew, another spread that I did while I was listening to an audiobook. And then there's Aki's very iconic hand pose from Chainsaw Man. And then some eyes, Cassandra's eyes with her iconic eyeliner. And then I was practicing drawing my hands. So even this pose here, I did it on my hands and then I drew it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This one here these ones I did in 2020. The guy from Pinterest that looked like Cade. So I was gonna draw him. And then this is a really washed out Daenerys in the final scene of season 1 of Game of Thrones. And that's her dragon sitting on her shoulder. Yeah. I say this about all of my sketchbooks, but it's my favorite sketchbook so far. And I had a lot of fun with it. The reason why it took 2 years is because I was doing a few other sketchbooks while I was doing it, and then I was taking triple science, and so I didn't have time for a lot of my art for myself. I was taking IGCSE art, which was really hard as well. So that's why there's that huge gap. And then also COVID, I didn't have the sketchbook. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching it. I had a lot of fun recording this, getting it online, and thank you for joining. Bye.